Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of Got Something For You for Survivor 48. My name is Phil. We've got Ali right next to me. How you doing, Ali?
I'm doing okay. I've had a very busy day, but I am very excited to do what I normally do and just talk a load about Survivor.
Well, there we go. I mean, lucky for you, they have power packed the most exciting episode for us today. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
We are going to get into everything. As you can see, Matthew is not here with us this week. Matthew, we are going to miss you. We will see you next week. Ali.
I do have, because Matthew did let me know his reasoning, so I just need to scroll up quickly to get the reasonings.
Yes. Provide his alibi, please, before people lose their minds. I know you guys love Matthew. I love Matthew.
I know. I've now lost his reasonings. He said, please tell our viewers that I'm missing the episode because I was wrong about the final three. And yes, he's salty.
There we go. Look, Matthew, you and I both. I also thought that Star was going to be getting to the final three. No less, we are going to get into all of it today, starting with host. Hold. There we go. Host Tribal. We've got Eva and Mary talking together. Mary is obviously very, very upset about losing her very own David, which is, again, I think back and I'm like, when did these two get so close? It almost feels like it came out of completely nowhere. But at the end of the day, David was her number one ally, and David went home last time. So she's sitting here, talking with Eva, and Eva seems to be trying to pull Mary in here, trying to gain some trust. What do you think about this conversation?
Do you know what? I didn't mind this conversation. I will say, I think I did actually say this off camera before we were live. I think that a lot of people had little mistakes this episode. I think this, though, was a very good thing of Eva. And because I think we will get to another conversation that someone has with Mary later on. But I think how Eva handled her conversation with Mary was really good, in my opinion. I think she was kind of upfront. She didn't kind of BS Mary. And to me, we've had this whole thing this season about honor and integrity and all this stuff. And this is the first time I've kind of seen that play out and actually look good. Because I don't really think Eva there was an upfrontness with Eva, but I think there was a respect as well when you look at the conversation. I don't know. What do you think, Phil?
So first of all, are you telling me that you are fully buying in to the honor and integrity now? Are you part of the camp?
God, no.
Ali, full on honor and integrity?
No. No. Absolutely not. But I do think in this instance, what they're saying they're doing, I think Eva did.
Totally. Yeah, honestly, I'm with you. I look at this conversation, and what I love about it is that Eva was so straight up with Mary. Like, in this conversation, almost too much. Like, if I was in this conversation, I'd be like, okay, pipe down. You don't have to tell me that, like, you absolutely will not use the idol on me, which I found very, very funny, to be honest. I thought that Mary being like, well, would you think about maybe using the idol on me? And he was like, oh, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to use the idol on you. Absolutely not. No. Never. But I will tell you, if you're getting voted off, even if you can't do anything about it, how about that? So again, Eva keeping it real with Mary here. Then we slide over and we see a different conversation. It is a conversation between Star, Camilla, and Mary. And they talk about the revolution and how it will be televised. Ollie, what did you gather from all this?
I gathered that, I thought this was really good of Star and Camilla to kind of be like, right, this is what's happening here. And we saw the formation, the building blocks of something different in this game, which was really exciting. We saw that, they were kind of understanding what's going on, and right, let's see what we can do here. And it just seemed like there was going to be some fluidity, because, and we'll get to it more as the episode goes, but it's like you have Camilla, who has just voted against Mary, in a sense, getting rid of her closest ally. But you see, like, you kind of see them go, that's water under the bridge now. We can understand the dynamics. We have to do something moving forward. So I think from all three of them, Mary, Camilla, and Star, I give major props. What did you think about the conversation?
Yeah, I sort of think similarly. The way that I sort of looked at it is that, yeah, I mean, despite the fact that they literally just got off the heels of voting off Mary's closest ally, like, Mary is not dumb. You know what I mean? Like, she knows,
Yeah.
she has to know where she stands at this point. And it is like it is at the bottom of frankly, like, it seems like both sides. Like, Mary is not positioned well, and so she's just sort of having to squeak any way that she can into
Yeah.
the next round. And so it makes sense that we have Star, Camilla, and Mary here. These are three smart women who just have not gotten to play in the majority at all this whole game.
Yep.
What I did notice, and I find very, very interesting, Mr. Ali, is that the one person missing from this conversation is Mitch.
Yes.
And he is the person that ultimately ends up botching this entire plan at the end of the episode. What was your thought on that?
I mean, I will deep dive into it when we get there, but I think this was because at this point they were kind of saying, like, we know Mitch is smart enough to realize this is a better move for him, because we see that Mitch is at the beach at this point with the core four, bumping fists, being like, yeah, I've got you.
Mhm.
And I did see that, and I was a little worried, because I thought to myself, like, it's an awareness thing, and that's why I'm saying that now. We'll get to it later, because I think it's a lot of, I wanna make sure I'm saying, when I speak on it, I wanna give Mitch his side, but then also another perspective on it.
Well, that I think this is perfect, because going into the next slide, we see exactly what you're talking about. We see the group hanging out that is now mysteriously a 6. Isn't it so funny how that happens, Ollie?
It's so weird that they were like, well, no, we don't want to, like, have this big voting block of people, and now all of a sudden they're happy with a 6.
Mhm.
This is why, like, I feel like this entire episode, you could see what was happening, and then you understand the jury's reaction, and that's what I'm going to say on that. But also this moment here, it's obviously where Mitch was talking about his unfortunate incident with being chased by a dog as a mailman,
Right.
which I found really funny. Like, and I thought, yes, we're seeing these more human moments. We're seeing these sides of people, and I really appreciated it. And then you kind of hear people start to be like, this is where we've got to start getting people on our side. And it was, yeah, it was a weird one for me, because Mitch was sort of in this very, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, he was having, everyone was coming to him. Bearing in
Mhm.
mind, like, 2-3 rounds ago, they were happy to chop him and get rid of him. So
Mhm.
it is nice to see that Mitch now has these options. It's just understanding what the right options may be. And is this 6 the best option? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's exactly what you said. And I'm so happy that, like, honestly, I love the way that you put this, Ollie, because it's exactly what it is. It's the same people that were leaving him out, like, just, 1 and 2 votes prior, are now fist bumping him, making him
Yeah.
feel included, making him feel like he's got the spot at the table. And let me tell you, much like what Ollie's drinking, that is the tea. Because I don't think that Mitch realizes that he is, like, that he has the wool over his eyes right here.
Yeah, he does not realize at all. And I think we can go to the next slide, because yeah, it's where Mitch is talking to Shaheen and Joe,
Mhm.
and it is where I kind of see Mitch is looking at things, not tunnel vision. I don't want to say Mitch is tunnel vision because I think Mitch has so far done a very good job at trying to see all the options he has. But I think in this moment, his reasonings are very tunnel vision. That's where I think it is the worry, because it is very much like, oh yeah, well, you guys have never betrayed me. And it's like,
Ollie having a system malfunction. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, dude. It's like it is so wild to see Joe and Cheyenne effectively coax him back
yeah,
into trust. Because like we've been watching for this whole entire season that they've been lying to him. They've been voting against him. They've been not bringing him in on votes. They've been voting outside of his personal interests. They've built this entire alliance with him outside of it. So it feels insane that these two are believable coming up to Mitch at this point in the game and saying, hey, we want you on our side. We're with you. And we love you. We've actually always been really huge fans of you. And we want you to come over to our side. It's just like, dude, where did this come from?
where was this 180? Because especially these two, there's definitely been, you can probably look back and see a confessional where both of them have said Mitch is a threat and Mitch needs to go.
Right. And look, I do believe that when Cheyenne is in a confessional talking about how he thinks Mitch is so funny, I believe that he's being authentic there.
Yeah.
But I also do believe that there is, like, this scene here is the theme of the episode in a scene. And it really feels like the cool kids are convincing the outsiders to turn on his own friend group. It's like, hey, come sit with us. We're the cool kids. We want you to hang out with us. Don't worry about those guys. Those guys suck. They're lame. They're gonna, they're gonna get you bullied. Come hang out with us. We're cool. But at the end of the day, like, these guys, they don't even really like him. Relax. They have only wanted to work with him because they lost David. They were forced to vote off David, and they are replacing David with Mitch here to gain power.
Yeah.
It feels transparent.
Oh yeah, completely. Like you've hit the nail on the head. Like, yeah, perfect. I'm trying to remember what's next. Oh yeah, because then it's where the Joe and this lot feel really secure now. Because they feel like they've got people and they're in this really good position.
And sorry, I had to gather my charger there for a second. But yeah, this is like genuinely, this is dangerous. It is. Let me ask. Let me see. Is the next slide? Okay, the next slide is Mitch leaving. But I only ask because we have a conversation between Joe and Eva, and it's right after this sort of giant huddle. It's sort of them talking, like discussing how easy it is to walk to the Final Four so long as they bring Camilla and Mitch into the 4 to make it a 6. And they say, look, we vote off Star or Mary, and then we vote off the other, and then we get rid of Camilla and Mitch, and then it's us 4. And it's wild. Oh yeah, please go ahead.
No, because that was just before this frame. And I remember watching this, and again, I thought what Eva was saying was really good. And I'm going to say this now, and I don't know how people are going to feel about this. I don't think this was a good episode for Joe. I think this was one of Joe's weakest showings, game-wise, because in that conversation that you're talking about, you hear Eva give reasons. She's gone, we can go for Star because Mary doesn't have her shot in the dark, so she's a lot more vulnerable than other people. So, like, Star's a bit more threatening in that sense, And it's not that Joe dismisses it, but it's like, Joe kind of just goes, yeah, well, we can get rid of Star. I mean, Star or Mary, either or, And it's like, you've got people giving the reasons, and it's almost, and I saw this happen later on, and we'll probably talk about it, where it's like, there isn't a lot of reasons when I hear Joe deciding who his preference would be. There's not a point. There's not a reason. And then if there is, my worry for him is it contradicts what he's been trying to do so far. So that's where I worry for him. But yeah, in this moment, I was just a bit like, it's looking too easy for you, and that's why I worry for you.
Yeah, it's scary. It's literally scary to sit here and watch as they're walking through where it's like, okay, we're at 8 now. We have this 4. You and me, Joe and Eva, are in such a locked 2 that as long as they get this vote off, which obviously they did, like it makes it's scary. Someone from the inside of that 4 has to flip. Otherwise, this is a walk. And I think this is why at the start of the episode, I sort of joked around with you saying like, oh, this was such an exciting episode. Like I do feel like this episode was like a little bit washed just because in my eyes, I feel like we're watching how the rest of the season could possibly be a predictable sort of like boring run to the end.
Yeah.
And so I'm not like, look, Survivor at the end of the day, I'm going to like it no matter what. But I also I do look at it and I go, man, I hope that something can interrupt the path that I see them going on right now, which feels like an unstoppable trait, right?
Yeah.
And once you get to the final 4, I mean, at this point, like you're at least making fire to get to the final 3, and because Joe and Eva are unbreakable, I feel like there's a good chance that we get both of them in the final 3. Truly.
Yeah, and I agree with you in the sense of like it it could be foreshadowing for kind of we're already going to figure out what's to come. And again, I'm not saying that's bad because technically that's really good strategy for them because they've been able to put themselves in a great position where they have an easy path to 4. I'm not faulting them for that. Obviously, it's more so on an entertainment factor. We're sat there going, yeah, cool. Next. Yeah, cool, next. But again, it also, what worries me is from a jury management side, because then they've had this 4 and it's how they play it, it's how they explain it. Because if they were to explain it wrong, you could have people that already felt on the bottom having salt rubbed in their wounds and they go, I'm now voting for this person because they treated me the best. And then that's how the season goes. And I wouldn't want that for them because I think all of them have played some really good games. So yeah, that was just my thought process. Went on a tangent. So sorry.
Oh, please. We love an all-way tangent here. And again, if you're with us in the chat, let us know. Say hello. Before it closes, aka our very own friend Matthew popping in, like right when I say that. How funny. Matthew was saying, I'm so sorry I can't be here to talk about the episode this week. I have never disagreed with Ollie more. Not about the Joe thing, but about the Mitch has options thing. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And as always, totally agree with you, Phil. I love it. We miss you.
On the Mitch has options things, I want to clarify that I'm not saying that Mitch has options, but it's the sense of everyone is trying to get Mitch on their side. Do I think that benefits Mitch? Absolutely not. Like, I don't think anything that happened this episode has benefited Mitch strategically. So I would just clarify that. And that's fine, Matthew. You never have to agree with me.
And again, like, I'm sure we were going to get this the entire episode because this entire episode is essentially Mitch. This is the story of how Mitch decides to not stack with the underdogs to topple the people in power, and so we will be talking about it later, but I have a comparison between Mitch and a former player that I think might hit the nail on the head, but we'll wait and see. Here we have a fun scene. We do have a light and fun scene between some of the underdogs here. Star is annoyed by Mitch's snoring.
I found it so funny.
I thought it was so funny too. What did you like about this?
It was just authenticity. Like, it was just funny and relatable. I'm so sorry to my partner. My partner does snore. And there have been times where I've had to just to stop it. So it's relatable because you're like, oh, someone's snoring again, and I wish I could get to sleep in 10 seconds. So
Yeah.
Mitch, I'm so glad you can do that because I
Am I
really
the only one?
can't.
Please let me know in the chat if you are more like Mitch or more like us. Because I said the same thing, Ollie. I heard Mitch say that he can get to sleep in a second like that. And I was like, dude, what? Teach me your ways, man.
Yeah,
I am at night rolling over, trying to figure
yeah,
out the right
yeah,
position. I have to like listen to a certain, I have to listen to white noise to get to sleep properly. It's a lot. Like,
yeah.
so kudos to you, Mitch. Kudos to you. And you're snoring
Well
on top
done.
of it, please.
I know.
But I think it's interesting because I think that it's in this scene, and I wonder, yeah, it's in this scene that we have Star trying to convince Mitch to come over to the other side, sort of like teasing the idea of like, hey, Mitch, like, what are you thinking? We're sort of getting some people together to like possibly go after some people at the top, and Mitch is sort of like deading her questions here.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah, I don't really know who I'm thinking right now. I'm not really sure, figuring it out. And it's like, Mitch,
yeah,
give a little more, please. Like, what?
yeah. It was and it was the fact that the reasons he said was she just voted for me. But we've seen other people. We have seen time and time again people vote for someone and then the next round they're allies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I understand. Like I understand that level of trust. I completely get it. But it then the issue is it just takes away, like, it takes away your fluidity, it takes away your options. You then sit there and have to kind of play one way, and then if that's not the way you wanted to play and you're like, oh, this wasn't right, if you then don't acknowledge why that was, that's where it's going to be an issue. And like later down the road, if Mitch was to make final tribal. But yeah, I just think absolutely deading it. I was just like, consider it.
Bad,
Consider it.
bad survivor practice.
Yeah.
Just really quick, I want to give some love to Amy here. What is up, Amy? I'm so happy to see you in the chat. I was looking for you, and I totally get it. Just to get the full read here, she said that she was disappointed in this episode, so she refuses to comment on anything except for the chicken or waffles chant. Well, I'm happy that you let us know. I mean, please, throw out some more if you can. We love to hear from you. We're right here with you. We were both a little bit disappointed in this episode. Underwhelmed for sure. But look, like we said, Survivor is still Survivor, and I think that you are bringing up. I mean, it's a perfect point, Ollie. Just the fact that like you can't be too, disincentivized to work with someone simply because they voted against you in the prior vote. I mean, at the end of the day, Star didn't have any wheels going for you that tribal either way. Like that Star is on the outs. Like just be able to bond over the fact that you both are on the outside and have a personal interest in toppling the people at the top. I mean, please, I would think that would be enough. But look, I also want to throw out just so that it's not an absolute entire Mitch pylon. I do want to throw out the fact that, and I know that you also, you're sort of defending Mitch too, here and there. I do just want to throw out that, like, I don't think that Mitch was sitting here not thinking at all. What I think what happened is, like, I honestly, like, I give a lot of credit to truly, like, Joe and Eva, like, or Joe and Shaheen, like, I think they did a really good job making Mitch believe that he was really in with those guys. And I guess if you're Mitch and you are simply trying to get to the end of the game and you're thinking, okay, where do I find my better chance? With these guys who are winning every single challenge of our season, or with this motley crew over here that, can't really get any pieces together. Like, I sort of do see where he's coming from, where he might be thinking like, oh, like it's my better move to get in with Joe and them. But I do just think that, like, you have to be able to scope out in this game and understand where you are at in the moment.
Yeah.
And at this moment, like, sorry, Mitch, you're as at the bottom as these guys,
if not more.
if not more. Now, we get a scene of Kyle and Camilla getting together, which is interesting because I feel like we don't get as much Kyle and Camilla content these days.
No, they're really trying to distance that, which worries me. But I think that's because we are seeing Kyle start to distance himself from Camilla, because I can't remember if I said this last episode. I do see that Kyle now has his hands in too many cookie jars. And this is where it's coming back to bite him, because he's had someone that's been his ride or die the entire time, someone that has had his back through and through. And now he's going, right, I'm going to try and help Camilla as much as I can, but she's not in this alliance, which is really basically where I'm going to go. So he's trying to, I'm calling it out how it is. He is trying to jury manage Camilla at this point to still make her feel good when he does, in the end, get her voted off. Whether or not he votes for her, but gets her sent to the jury. Which is why I worry for Kyle. I don't think this was a bad episode for Kyle. I don't think it was a good episode for Kyle. And I just think in this scene, it was very much he was trying to appease, and that is his person on the outside, which I think is a really good thing. You want to make sure everyone's happy. But in Survivor, we have seen so many times where if you try to help everyone, you're going to help no one, and that's where I'm going to worry for Kyle. But it's a later problem.
Yeah, and I think that this is sort of where we get our first real glimpse of Camilla and Kyle being on two different tracks. Yes. Camilla is like steadfast on, we have to go for Joe this time around. We have to split. We have to push to rocks, and we have to get Joe out. Like this is the time. And Kyle, well, to your point, like trying his best to remain neutral and sort of work both sides and be in good graces with everyone. I do think that he sort of he's in it too. Like he sort of says, he's like, I really like Joe. I get along with Joe. Like it would be really, really hard to turn on him. It doesn't seem like he wants to. And it has definitely got me interested in how this alliance is going to move forward, because I feel like we're sort of seeing the first cracks.
Yeah. I definitely think we're starting to see the first cracks, and I do feel like we may see those cracks more so moving forward, especially next episode. I think it's definitely we're gonna see more of it next episode.
Mm-hmm. And just so that it's not missed, because this is a big part of the ultimate finale of this episode. In the previous sort of conversation between Star and Mitch, like we get the dogpiling on Star. And it sort of happens throughout the episode, and it feels so crappy because Star has become a fan favorite as of the recent episodes. Yeah. And it is really a shame to see how much people are not taking to her on the island. And it's like, what is this disconnect? And it's weird because, in the words of Mitch, when Star is trying to put something together, strategize with him, talk strategy, bring something to his attention, he literally says, if anyone else came up to me with this plan, I'd think about it. But it's Star, and she's a joke. That is that's freaking mean, dude. I was very blown away by that. Again, it does feel like one of these things where it's like the person who, like, he's talked about his own story of his speech impediment, being teased, being bullied, but he's brought into this cool person group where now he's doing it to Star, where he's like, oh my god, if someone with value came up to me and told me this idea, I'd listen to it. But it's Star, what a joke. I don't know. I didn't love that.
No, and I can completely understand that. I think it was just a little slip up again. I will say, obviously, we know that we're saying this all sat on the couch, eating our popcorn, having a lovely time. They are there hungry, tired, not thinking probably before they're speaking when it comes to confessionals. The filter is gone. But yeah, I still do think that he could have worded it a little bit better.
Yeah, just a wee bit better. Anyways, we get to our challenge.
But there's something before Phil.
Oh my gosh, did I go right past this? Yes.
No, you didn't. I had it ready.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a second. Yes, we have our fried chicken and waffles chant. This was I love this. This was did you like this?
I hated this.
Oh no, Ollie! And I had a feeling. I almost had a feeling that we were going to be on opposite sides for this. I enjoyed this. What was your thought?
Yeah.
What was your thought?
I understand it. It just for me it felt it was Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I love you to pieces, but you were forcing this. You were, and I'm gonna say that I was marrying Camilla. I was marrying Camilla going, come on, let's get this over with.
I was definitely Cheyenne, Star, Kyle on the end. Fried chicken and waffles. Fried chicken and waffles. Amy's with me with the yay. Let's go. I was into this. I was really into this. And you're right. Yes, Jeff definitely got it started with the like, join me now, whatever. But you're right. It ended up. Is that what it felt like to you? Like sort of like the Newsies, like coming out with the. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Amy, I'm with you. Amy says, I never get tired of watching it. Love Cheyenne and Joe especially. Yeah, even Joe was boogieing. I was like, these are the fun moments that I really enjoyed. And on an episode that is a little bit more of a dud, I thought this was fun.
I will say one thing I did find funny during this sequence was you had let's be fair, the two people that did not like this, my good time gals, Camilla and Mary. They were the two that were not feeling it. You saw Eva. She was there as well. And she pumps Mary. And Mary's like, stop it. That was the I found funny. Because you could really tell neither one of them wanted to do it.
That's funny.
Fine.
I didn't notice the Eva bump. That's hilarious. That is so funny. But this challenge, man. What was your thought on I mean, it's was there anything big here? You have the classic sort of like worming it out, dragging the ball through the course, tossing the ring on a post. Anything call out to you?
I appreciated. So I like that this has become a staple because it is definitely something different. I was thinking about this when I was making the slides, when I was getting this clip, because this is definitely a newer, like this was kind of, I want to say 30s was when we kind of saw this. And it has become a staple, and I feel like it is something that's a little bit different, and it requires a random set of skills. So I appreciated that. I liked that it was very much like different people were taking the lead. Like, I liked seeing that because we first saw Shaheen was taking the lead, then Kyle, then Joe, back to Kyle, and then there was a 2-horse race, and then obviously we saw who won in the end. But that's what I liked about the challenge, that it was anyone's game. And I felt like both this and the immunity challenge, it was really level playing field, which I like.
I'm with you. Yeah, I was thinking that when you were sort of describing what you felt about the fact that this was so sort of like, different lead changes, and it wasn't like one winner the entire way. I was like, hey, it's funny. The immunity challenge was the same way. So I'm happy that they had both of those here. Fender, welcome to the chat, my friend. So happy to hear from you. Fender says, feels like Cheyenne is making fun of Jeff and the show. Is this during the fried chicken and waffles chant? Did you feel this at all?
I think so. No, I don't think it was. I mean, I was not a fan of the chant, so I'm kind of sat there like, no, because I feel like he added to it, and Jeff really loved it. So I think regardless, Jeff didn't care.
Yeah, I was going to say, let us know what you're talking about, what you saw here, Fender. I also didn't necessarily feel like Cheyenne was making fun of Jeff in the show. In fact, to your point, Ollie, I feel like he was really yes-anding Jeff's the thing that Jeff threw out, where Jeff is like, hey, Let's get this chant started. And Shaheen's like, oh, I'm going to turn it up to 10, fried chicken and waffles. Sort of, he was having fun with it, which I definitely appreciate. Go ahead.
I will say I'm noticing with Shaheen, we're getting little moments of entertainment with Shaheen. We saw it now with the fried chicken and waffles. We saw it earlier in the season when it was the Okatama Haya Bada, like that one. Like we've been seeing these little moments of Shaheen, and that's what I'm liking. I think a lot of people just think like it's like a 3-horse race between Joe, Eva, and Kyle. I'm not counting out Shaheen just yet. I'm not counting anyone out, but I'm definitely not counting Shaheen out.
Listen, Shaheen has been having these like little fun vignette moments the entire season.
Yeah.
The entire season. Even just like you said last episode, him grabbing Joe by the face and Joe talking about how he woke up to a bearded man, on top of him. The fact that Shaheen had the moment where, even when he was like seen, kissing Star on her forehead when they like won that one challenge, and people were talking about like, wow, like Shaheen really seems like he's connecting with Star. Like he just seems from jump to have always been very comfortable with the people around him. That's what I've noticed. Amy pitching in here saying Shaheen is her winner pick. So she likes
love that for my draft.
I love that for Amy. I love that for your draft. And I honestly, I see that. I see that possibly happening. I really, really do.
Love that.
I really, really do.
For my draft.
And I'm with you. I don't think that they have been overly sparing with the Shaheen scenes. They're also not shoving it in our face. But like if he won, I don't think that anyone would be sitting there being like, "Oh, we didn't see it. I didn't get to know Shaheen."
It reminds me of Kenzie, where we always had something. We always had a remembering of Kenzie. We always were like, never forget Kenzie. She's right there. Don't forget about her.
That's interesting. Honestly, if I can be so bold, I might even say that if Shaheen were to win this season, I would think that Shaheen actually comes across as a more present winner than Kenzie did in terms of the edit. Just because I do think that we've seen Shaheen strategizing more than we saw Kenzie strategizing in her scene. And I'm sorry, in her season. And I think that but you're right. I think that what they have in common is like this sort of like good vibe through line through the whole season, where you're right. I think that Kenzie from top of the season till the end of the season is shown as just like, man, this woman is just a good vibe. Like people just genuinely like her, And I think that we see that with Shaheen too. Like I said, we see that like that Shaheen is always being seen just getting along with his tribe. What is up, Big Show Gano? Saying what's up to Ali and I here. Amy, at some point, I'm hoping he'll be a disruptor and he'll get Joe or Eva out.
I would love that.
So. I'm hoping so too. Are you enjoying the stream? I'm hoping so too, and I really do think that he can be that person. I see it. I see it.
I see it as well.
Anywho,
Kyle wins.
We get a Kyle win here. We get a Kyle win, and again, like I love that Kyle. It's not like he was ahead the whole time. He sort of came up from behind to beat Joe here, but he pulled out the win, which is great. We go to reward. What called out? I'll tell you the one thing that called out to me on reward. Pardon. Shaheen just like chucking the whipped cream at Eva's face.
That was fun.
Eva being a good sport about it, but then calling it a classic. Is that a classic?
If anyone did that to me on a bad day, no, that's not a classic.
It's a classic, Ollie.
Apparently so.
Throw it in your face.
I have one good and one bad thing about this. Can I just say?
Give it to me.
I love the fact they went to a secluded island, different venue. We weren't just seeing the sanctuary.
Right.
It's the exact same setup as every single reward, so it doesn't look like anything's changed.
Oh no!
I was so thankful. I was like, oh, Ollie. We're not going to the sanctuary. We're having a bit of variety. They're listening. Oh, it looks like they could have just been at their beach.
Ollie, always striving for some variety in our rewards, is let down again Why are you doing this? Come on, Survivor. Don't let him down. Anywho, I felt like really, this reward, the biggest thing that I saw was just, or that called out to me was that whipped cream moment. I thought that was really fun and funny. Obviously, actually, there's another thing. I noticed just how much, like during the strat talk, it felt like Camilla really did feel on the outs. And yes, Kyle in this confessional is talking about how, like, look, I brought Camilla in here to show her that I'm looking out for her. And I don't feel like Camilla loved the company. And I don't feel like she loved the plans because she knows what all this leads to.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, she looks at it from her end, but then I think Kyle did make some good points in the sense of like he made sure that Star, Mary, and Mitch stayed over there to feel some type of way that may help Camilla. That I can appreciate, and I think if he explained, like, that's a really good subtle move because you can sit there and go, I did this because I wanted to give my secret ally options and to help her out. That was good, but I think Camilla was like, I'm just here for the fried chicken and waffles.
Yeah, she was like, I'm here to eat.
I'm here to eat.
I love how we're turning it into like a musical moment. I love it. So back at camp, things look a little bit different. But before we talk about that, we are going to go to a quick ad.
Think you're the most knowledgeable Survivor superfan? Well, you can put that to the test with our Fantasy Survivor game. Welcome to Bracketology, fantasy sports for reality TV. We provide fantasy football-style games for your favorite shows like Survivor and many more. We also have bracket-style elimination challenges. Set your picks once for the whole season to see how your prediction skills fared. And don't forget to check out the season extras like contestant info, where you can see all the bios of each contestant, and our scoring recaps that are published each episode. Download the Bracketology mobile app or play on your computer at fantasy.bracketology.tv. It's entirely free to play, and you can win some awesome prizes. Good luck.
All right. Now we are back at camp. Joe is trying not to be pissed about not being brought on reward and uses this time to connect with people on the outside. And he starts off doing this by telling Mary that David went home because of her. What did you think about this? Is this
this was Joe's worst moment of the episode, and actually, I will say this was Joe's worst moment of this season so far.
Give it to me. Give me your thoughts.
Because I think, like, Mary absolutely beautifully explained it. He was trying to jury manage her. He was trying to make and he even admitted it. Like, I want to pretense before we heard Mary's confession, we heard the conversation. Joe did say he wanted to connect with people because he knows that they're going to be on the jury and he wants them to vote. But you saw him. I felt like if Joe had said this to me, this would not make me want to vote for him. This would not make me nice towards Joe. Because all it would take is for me to go to whoever and say, apparently I was the reason David went home because apparently it was me that was causing it. Like, to me, if I at the end of the day, I said this last episode, Mary and David were right for their suspicions. So when he's saying you were stirring up all this paranoia, you were the one doing this, it was always Mary and David, it was never just David, I was like, well, actually, that's not true. I just think it wasn't the best move for Joe. And I think it did hurt him. And I think I now worry for Joe. I could see Joe getting to the end and being second place because of people feeling some type of way towards him.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what the strategy was here. I don't know what the point of this was, and I don't necessarily think that Mary appreciated this.
No,
no. I'm with you. There were a few moments in this episode for Joe where I was like, huh, that was weird. It was quick, but that was weird.
Yeah.
And look, we have have Mary going back to Mitch to pitch getting Joe out. And
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ollie. I mean,
Well, this is where we see. This is obviously we see kind of Mitch toy with the idea, and again, it goes back to your point of anyone else can do it, and Mitch will think about it. Star does it. He's like, no. But I do think this was kind of just like, will he? Won't he? There's a chance, but we all knew it wasn't going to happen. But I thought Mary doing this was good.
Yeah, I felt like it was a decent pitch. Being like, hey man, like move from the bottom of this 6-person thing at the top to the top of like a real alliance that's taking out the big dogs and like will ultimately drive to the end. It was a very good pitch. And the only thing that I wonder is if, like, obviously the person that they brought in, two things. She really was emphasizing going to rocks. And I wonder if that spooked Mitch to start. Like, just hearing rocks, like, it is a very scary thing to hear where it's like, oh, like that's a big ask to sort of have faith as you move forward to rocks. But I also think that, like, I just think that specifically pitching to go after Joe, and then we will be getting to it very, very shortly, but knowing that he's ultimately the one that wins. Like, instead of being like, hey, we can get someone from on that side, making it Joe, and then with him winning immunity, even eventually, does it just make his brain go, oh my god, panic? Okay, let me just go to the easiest thing. Versus if the overall plan was, hey, let's get someone from that side. It doesn't matter who it is. It just has to be one of those 4. And then after the challenge, Joe wins. And then it's like, okay, well then it has to be one of those 3. And then it's just like an easier thing to talk about versus, feeling like their plan got blown up. I mean, do you feel anything with that?
No, I have no feelings.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the challenge. This is unlike Eva saying whipped cream being thrown at her face was a classic. I feel like this truly was a classic.
This is, but before we get to this though, there was something that occurred.
That's right. That's right.
The quickest extension. It was so quick, but it was obviously a little thing that happened.
Yes. Also, just really quick, I do want to throw up Mary's comment before we move to the challenge. Pardon. And it's just that between this convo and Eva being condescending towards Mary earlier, if I was Mary, I'd be leading for Bear. I wanted one for Joe and Eva to go. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I think we're going to see that possibly next episode. Yeah. One of my predictions is I do think that Mary's potentially just going to openly go for one of them to spook them, which I think they need to be spooked.
Yeah, and I do think that once again, I think Mary is with Camilla, like, two of some of the bigger thinkers on this whole entire season. Kyle says earlier that like this is not a season of strategy; it's a season of like emotion. But I do think that, to your point, I think that like Mary, I think that like Mary would probably sense the being talked to so condescendingly by both Eva and Joe in this episode. Yeah, so I'm with you, Amy. Yeah, I feel like I imagine that she must really, really feel that. But yes, this rights negotiation, I'm happy you put it in the slide. I'm happy they put it in the episode, but at the end of the day, like, what was this?
This was never going to be this was them seeing what would happen, but this was the one cast that was never going to do Rice no matter what. You could literally put it final 18, you could put it final, like, they were never going to go for Rice.
I also just think that, like, I don't think, like, is Rice a thing of the past officially? Like, this little thing that they brought back for the new era? Because think about it. We didn't, on 46, we had the only person that got Rice was Liz, and it was only because she had all of her allergies. Yeah. Last season, they were like, we're okay. We don't care about it. Yeah. And this season, they don't even talk about it. They don't like, it's a very quick discussion.
But I think it was because it was just very much like, again, this season, they have been very transparent on dynamics. And let's be fair, they wanted 3 people out. you've got 4 people that have got into an alliance because of the fact they're competitors and they want to compete no matter what. So those 4 are never going to sit out. If they wanted Rice, they were going to push for 3 of the other 4 to step out. And considering Camilla, Star, and Mary all know that they're at the bottom, they're never going to go out. Same with Mitch. Mitch isn't going to just give himself like vulnerability. So yeah, I understand why they did it, but this was just the wrong cast. It was never going to happen.
Yeah, didn't go anywhere. Challenge,
But
I thought it was very fun. I like challenges where there are like a lot of sort of like close calls, false wins. It really looked like people were gonna, different people were gonna win. It looked like Kyle was gonna win. It looked like Joe was gonna win. It looked like Cheyenne was gonna win, and then Joe ultimately does win. But
there was this very good slow-mo moment where this fly had more screen time than Stephanie.
Poor Stephanie. That is very true. That is very true.
I did like this slow-mo shot.
He's getting a lot of like special treatment with things like this. Should we be reading into this at all?
If you want to, I don't, but you can.
But you don't think there's any value to it?
No, I think it's just them creating suspense for the challenge, which is fair enough. It did, because you were wondering when he's actually going to get to the thing, and then obviously at this point it then boom, and he's like at the back, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, there he is. Congratulations, Joe. But again, it bombs the whole plan, which is, let's vote off Joe. The whole plan is bombed because Joe won immunity here, and now it's like, okay, well, where are we going from here? And especially because this whole thing sort of hinged on Mitch and where he was going to flip or flop. There he is, looking scared and nervous because at this point, he has no clue what he wants to do. And in fact, if he's leading anywhere, he's leading towards not sticking with the people on the bottom and instead completely changing his tune and going all in with the cool kids and the people who are in power. I mean, look, I told Ollie at the start of this, before we started this episode, I said, look, after immunity, I was like, in my mind, like, it was just so clear after Joe won, it just felt so clear to me what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And, I, of course, did not tune out. Like I said, Survivor is still Survivor. But I certainly for this episode, I wanted to spend the bulk of the time sort of discussing what could have been, because I think that at this point, things were sort of tied up.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, that, like, obviously Joe winning happened. I'm a firm believer that regardless of whether Joe won or lost, I don't think Mitch was going to go to the 4. I really don't. Especially because they're probably going to go for Star. That's the person they're most likely going to go for. Mitch isn't going to go to Rocks for Star. Point blank.
There's no relationship with her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it was always going to fumble anyway. I do appreciate that Mitch was very much to viewers, and because I think he knew what was going to happen. He was like, to people watching, did completely respect that. I understand that he can't trust Star and now all of a sudden Mary, but obviously from our point, and again, I'm saying this from a sense of I sat in the couch, I see more than Mitch does because of an edited show. I just need to understand how he can trust those other people because I just don't think he can. I do think this was a missed opportunity. That's the perfect word to say.
Can I tell you? This is what I sort of teased at the start of this episode. Mitch, to me, is Laurel from Ghost Island. Mitch has all the power to be the person to make a flip or a flop on the majority because he is the bridge between two sides. But no matter what, despite the amount of evidence and resources in his face, he will never be able to understand that, hey, I am in the minority alliance, or if I'm in the majority, I am at the absolute bottom, and I am not going to win sticking around with these people. And so, yeah, it's been very, very frustrating to follow to a certain extent, if I'm being completely
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And I do like Lexa's point that she's just put in the chat. I genuinely think that he feels like he can trust Joe because Joe picked him for the reward. And he feels mistrust. Yeah, absolutely. I think he does just because they had just voted for him, so it's fresh on his mind. Because we did see earlier on in the episode that he did feel like Kyle didn't take him for a reward. I will just say he had just gone on a reward, so not as
And
much.
to strengthen her sort of point, I mean, she's absolutely right. In a 39-day season, several days would have passed in between the tribal councils, and so he wouldn't have that last burn still stinging him as he goes into the next one. So I'm absolutely with you here, Lex. Yeah,
I agree.
I absolutely agree. But I also think that, like, I mean, again, I bring up the Laurel thing. The same thing happened to Laurel. I do think that there is something to be said about the power of making someone feel like they are with you,
Yeah.
And again, like, even if you take someone who, once again, will never be able to beat you in a final three, and you just truly do commit to them, I do think that's what Wendell and Dom did with Laurel in Ghost Island. They said, oh, this is someone that we both can beat. But we also have her vote, unless she completely flips or flops. And they knew that she was so loyal. She wasn't going to do that. In Mitch, like, I think the biggest difference is that he has not had this, like, long-standing amount of loyalty that Laurel did have with these two guys. But for him, I don't think that they even really take him that seriously. I don't think that they think that he can beat them. And I don't think that they think that he is threatening in a sense of being able to flip or flop, because I think that they don't think that he's willing or capable of doing that. So, like, it's honestly a little bit insulting. Like, if I were Mitch, I'd be like, dude, give me, I have a little bit more autonomy in this game than that, but alas, that has sort of been my thought on the season. I do want to know, and I want you to know, Big Show Gano, I saw your comment. I want to get to that maybe last after we get through Tribal. Is there anything else you want to highlight before we get to Tribal?
Obviously, at this point, we can just we talk. Yeah. Obviously, Star and Mary know that they're on the outs. I think I will say, I do want to say, I think this was a very smart move on Mary going to Shaheen, because I think we did see this episode, Shaheen had a lot of the power and a lot of the influence. So going to Shaheen and pitching that, I think Shaheen knew that even if he got Mary one more day, she would be very grateful to him. So I do think that was really smart. There was this rap moment from Star, which I thought was great. Again,
oh my God.
We were seeing some really good human, like, relatable moments from Star this episode, which made me know what was coming. Anything else?
Yeah, I can't believe that I almost breezed past this. This was really fun, and I think that, like, this is, if it's gonna be her boot episode, at least we give her a little bit of special treatment herself with, background music, a whole moment for this Survivor rap. I thought that this was really, really fun, and it seems like a lot of the viewers agree with that. I want to throw up Eunice's point here. Eunice asks, does anyone else feel that if Kyle makes any moves that he will burn someone on the jury? If he flips, he will lose Eva, Joe, and David. But if he remains complacent, he loses Camilla, Chrissy, and Cedric. Go ahead, Ollie.
No, I do. I actually do think that he is going to. He's in a really great spot at the moment, but that leaves his jury management in a precarious spot where I think he has to acknowledge that, yes, I'm going to have to burn someone here and potentially risk losing their vote. I've just got to know how to counteract it if and when I make it to final tribal council. That's how I feel like he has to play it. But I do.
I think that he absolutely is in danger of that, of possibly being in, like, a catch-22 scenario where he has burned too many people from one side, too many people from another side, and it's like, well, at this point, danged if you do, danged if you don't. I don't know if I'm allowed to
Yeah.
say the word on here. I feel like I definitely see that, Eunice. I think that's a great point. And honestly, the only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that I feel like Kyle sees this as well.
Mm.
I mean, if you listen to what Kyle says in one of his confessionals, it's when he's considering when Camilla is sort of trying to pitch to him to vote off Joe. He says, "I'm tired of burning people on the jury. Like I'm
Yeah.
tired of sending people to the jury. I've done this enough times." And I feel like he does sort of have his finger on the pulse of the fact that he is responsible for many people on the jury and them sitting there, and that he will have to speak to that at some point and somehow convince them to vote for him for $1 million. So, I definitely think there was something interesting, and there is possibly some conflicts to come. So thank you for bringing in that point, Chris. That was a really, really, really great point to bring in.
And now we head to Tribal Council. But before we do, hi, jury. You look like this. David looks like exactly how he did on the island, except without a beard. It's just sad. Matthew will know this. We just had the fashions on AU, top notch. Like they were good. So yeah.
Disappointing. We'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah, yeah. Any big callouts for you through Tribal?
The only thing I can remember was obviously the icon that is Star. And I think how Star was just very much authentic and herself in the sense of I'm going to do what my gut tells me to do. And I loved this back and forth between her and Jeff, because Jeff was kind of like, if everyone's telling you, hey, we're voting you out, what are you going to do? And it's almost like he was getting slightly irritated with Star, which made me like Star even more, because I was like, you've got Jeff this little bit pressed, which I just found hilarious. So yeah, that was just my moment, because it was very much this open secret that Star and Mary both knew their names were out there, so they were kind of pitching things, trying to make people believe that they were the better option to keep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got I do want to get to just some comments about Tribal and jury here. Lex popping in saying, I think Kyle understands that the jury is getting annoyed by Eva and Joe steamrolling things, but I think Kyle picking Cheyenne for reward might hint at a deeper relationship between Cheyenne and Kyle, leading her to ask the question, does Kyle see Cheyenne and Camilla as his ideal final three?
Possibly. I don't know. I feel like he wants to remain loyal to that four, so maybe. I'm also not sure. I will say Kyle's the biggest question mark in the sense of where I see him, who he wants to take to the end, because I'm not actually sure. Everyone else I could kind of think and see at least one person that they'd want to take. Kyle, I actually have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I can tell you is I think that there was definitely a better final three that I think Kyle could sit, against. Because I do think that sitting with Cheyenne could result in some split votes, and I think that Camilla could possibly gather some of the outsider votes for always being the one to sort of stand strong at Tribal. And I do think it's an interesting conversation. And then just lastly, because then at the very end here, I do obviously I want to give Star her flowers at the end of this Tribal. But please,
there's one thing I've just remembered about this episode, and I don't remember how I forgot about it. It's the David death glare throughout the entire Tribal, where every time they panned to David, he was literally staring into everyone's soul, and I just found it so funny. If anyone had any inkling or wonder if David was mad,
right?
The face says it all.
The face says it all. Yeah, man, it's gotta feel bad to get voted off. I definitely feel for the guy. I feel for the guy. But I just want to go back to Big Show Gano's comment from a little bit ago. Just because we're sort of here. Is there anyone who cannot win the season at this point? Well, we're looking at everyone. Obviously, Star at this point because she's voted off here. But is there anyone that you're looking at? You're going, they can't win. If I'm going to give you a number here to start, I'm going to say that I can count 3 people who cannot win.
I feel like I know who those 3 people are. I'm going to say one name just because I think it's one of those, I think, regardless of how he gets there, I don't think he has a shot. And that's Mitch. I do think Mitch has the biggest uphill battle. I also feel bad saying someone doesn't have a shot to win, but I think out of everyone, Mitch has the biggest hurdle to win. I do think if Camilla or Mary can get to the end, I think they have an amazing story and can sway some people. So I don't want to say that they can't win, because the issue is the fact that I think they have a good shot. The issue is them having to try and get there. I think getting to the final 3 is a lot harder. That's their uphill battle.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you definitely got one of my 3 in Mitch. But look, this is what I'll say. I think that what I will say is these people cannot win without something absolutely astronomical. Like I'm talking, Chris Underwood levels of big move to change things. And I think that I would say Mitch, I would say Mary, and I might honestly say Eva.
Yeah, I'd say Eva, and
yeah.
I actually think is it Isabel's comment in the chat, because I think that's a very good reason.
What's going to be hard for Eva is she wants to sit next to Joe and Cheyenne. Yeah, that in itself is a mistake. That's a great point, Isabel. That is an amazing point. Also, welcome to the chat. Hello.
I think she's hit the nail on the head there.
And Lex, if Mitch did something wild like idle out Joe and go on an immunity run, he has a shot. It's just a very steep path.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, Big Show, great comment to throw in. I think that really brought up some great discussion. Now, at the end here, this is a painful loss for season 48 of Survivor. Star was, much like her name, a shining star of this season. I thought that she was a bunch of fun. I thought that that honestly, like if she had the resources in people that really wanted to work with her and back her ideas, I think that we see a completely different game for Star. And it's a shame that we didn't get to see it this time around. And who knows? Maybe we could see it another time.
Agreed. I'd love to see her come back. I mean, as you said, Star is a star. I loved her energy. I loved just her moments. We saw so many kind of human, authentic moments from her that I would love to see her play again with people that may be more willing to understand her game, is how I will put it. But yes, love you, Star. You are an icon. Right.
With that, we go on to, hold please, the tribe is posted. Oh dear.
The tribe has posted. I'm going to put myself up here because it's mad dead. So for anyone that doesn't know and has just joined us for the first time, this is the tribe has posted, where I have done a deep dive into social media and all of the players' Instagrams, X accounts, TikToks, Blue Sky, you name it. I've probably looked at it to see what's been going down online. And the first one, the first couple of ones here, we have specific players. So the first one is Mitch. We have Mitch, who the first one is his reel where it shows him getting attacked by the dog in the tree. So I would recommend go watching that to understand more. And then also the other one is a tweet. where it was someone throwing a little shade at Mitch, and Mitch's reply I just thought was so funny. Sorry, my back is broke from carrying my tribe in the team portion of the game, which is very, very true. He really did. Next up, we have Mary. Now, Mary had a Instagram post. Just throwing a little fun shader there. I would recommend going to Mary's Instagram because it is a fun time. And then the other one is a tweet, which was, you'll know how much my soul died when we were forced to do the chicken and waffles song. I told you, Mary did not like it. Mary was not here for the chicken and waffles chant. And then next up, we've got Camilla, where she poked fun at herself regarding the reward challenge. She was talking about Beach Dwell, and she put this before the episode, and I was so confused because she was like, there was a fifth beached whale, and then obviously like the end one is, guys, it was me, I'm the beached whale. And I was like, I don't get this. And then she put on an Instagram post, and I was like,
makes sense.
The dots connected. Next up, we have some pre-jury and Shaheen. Kevin is saying, obviously, Joe gets this lovely moment when it comes to a fly, and then it cuts to Kevin being like, whoa, fly. So I noticed it on his Instagram story, and I thought it was hilarious. So I had to include it. Going to quickly go to Shaheen's, where he had a watch party and he showed all of his outfits, which again, he is definitely one of the style icons of the season. And Say in the middle, I wanted to leave Say to last because Say made a point to the people following her. Everyone seems to be getting so pressed that she didn't do like a thank you post. And again, it's becoming this thing where, do I think fans are getting slightly entitled? Yes. Because they're getting mad that Say didn't do like a big lengthy thank you post. Like she's saying in this Insta story that she thanked the people she needed to thank when she needed to thank them, and she's done all of her thank yous, which I think is fair. And I do want to call out, people have been giving Say a hard time that she didn't do a thank you post. There is someone else that did not do a thank you post and has not received any mention, no backlash on it, no people going, where's your thank you post? Chrissy. I'm not saying that Chrissy should get hate. I want that very clear now. No one sent hate to Chrissy or anyone on this season, because you will have to deal with me. But it's the double standard. And that's why I wanted to put this post in here, because I think it was a very poignant thing to say. If other people don't have to do a thank you post, Say don't have to do a thank you post. Say will do what she wants when she wants. And if you guys can't deal with it, go follow someone else.
Tell it.
The next lot is a couple of tweets. We have one from David. David is easily manipulated. Says, the man who for 10 episodes has been used and manipulated can't help but laugh at the irony. I'm not going to say who he was speaking on there, but you guys can go look at the tweet and think about it for yourselves. And Say, once again, poking fun, some of y'all owe me an apology, because obviously this episode was a little bit dry. Moving swiftly on. Star. I've got 3 slides for the Star. Star wants to thank everyone. I loved her little thing here. The stars were not aligned for Star. I thought that was a really good quip.
Funny.
And then literally on her, I just want to throw up Lex's point. Very true. Needs to stop. We then have a load of her Insta stories. She was at the Bryson Wen event in Philadelphia where she got to watch. Kyle was there and Mary were there. She's just sending the love. She's throwing a little shade here and there. And I love Star's Insta stories. If anyone missed them this season, you missed out, because she would Insta story, she would tweet live. It was amazing. And then one final one, because she shouts out a X user called Starbase48, and it is literally it was a fan account dedicated to Star that actually got mentioned on Survivor's Instagram because they did. I think it was the moment where Star was learning or swimming last episode, and they actually tagged Star Update, Starbase 48. So I had to put this one in here because if anyone has been very on social media watching what's happening with the castaways, they will know who this account is. And now they've been mentioned on Survivor Now podcast. But we're now ready for Phil's favorite time. The polls.
The polls.
Anyone that doesn't know, we post polls on X. We post them on a Thursday, and then you will have up until just a little bit before before we go live to vote on them. So, the first one. Would you have joined in with the musical number at the reward? Yes, loved the vibes. Yes, for the royalties. Maybe peer pressure. No, it was cringe. Phil?
You already know where I go. Yes, love the vibes.
You loved the vibes. Well, 65% thought it was cringe.
God.
You are having a lovely time with this 5% here.
That is so embarrassing for me. Wow. No, it was cringe.
Wow.
Well,
hey,
I guess I'm cringe.
You, Amy, and this 5% are having a lovely time, and you can have your time. You can have your moment. You're right.
Me, Amy, and that 5%, we will have a blast. We will carry the vibe and keep the chant going.
Okay, next up we have, did you think the bottom 4 were going to make a move? Because I feel like this was kind of the big thing of the episode. Like, are these 4 going to make a move? Are they going to stick together? Yes, I thought they would. I wasn't sure. And I think I know what Phil's going to say, which was never going to happen.
Never going to happen. And let me tell you, I wanted it to happen. But I just knew. I knew Mitch was never going to let this happen. Sadly.
Yeah. And 57% agreed. No, it was never going to happen. 29% saying yes, they thought it would. You are more optimistic than us two, that's for sure. I definitely was in the 40s, the 57%. And the final poll we have is, at what point is the best time to hold a rice negotiation? Pre-jury, final 10, final 9, final 8.
I feel like rice negotiation, there should be an option that says take it out of the game. Final 10, probably, because it's like you want there to be some more game left, but you also want them to be merged.
Well, it was 65%. I mean, Lexa in the chat just says, just give them rice. Fair, Lexa.
Yeah.
But yeah, 65% said final 10. The 18% that said pre-jury, I was like, fair enough. But yeah, those were the polls, and that was the tribe has posted.
Woo! Let's go, Ali. Now, look, I say it every single week. Lex reiterated my point. I like this segment. I love this segment because I'm not a big social media person, so I miss a lot of this stuff if you were not to tell me. So thank you, Ali. This is always so great. Now, look, this is the part of the show where we close out and we tell you all the awesome things coming up. Just go ahead and look over to our side here. You know, let's see, where are we in the week? I guess, no, look, go back and watch things like the after show. Go back and watch things like the stock watch. But if you only want to look forward, please, there is still a Survivor Social on tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So don't miss out on that. In general, just make sure you're following us on all socials, right? YouTube, Instagram, X, Blue Skies. We are everywhere. And we are always TikTok, please. That one's blowing up. It's TikTok. We are always happy to have you following us on all these accounts, but you are not missing a beat. We are so thankful and grateful to our audience, and we are going to be here with you next week. And then in a few weeks, we're going to be together in person. Got something for you. First in-person podcast there is so much to look forward to. Ali, any signing off thoughts from you?
No.
In classic Ali form. All right, everybody. We are going to send you off in style. Got something for you. We'll be back next week. And I just want to make sure that I find the outro. Don't we have an outro to this thing, right?
I can do it.
Sure
I've got you.
do.
I've got you.
Here it is. I don't know how to play it. But you know what?
I've
I
got
will
you.
see y'all next
I've got
time.
you.